Networks community. Today I have Gunnar with me, owner of Gunstorm Muscle and Health. He's going to talk a little bit about himself and tell you guys a couple of his stories from his success. I hope you guys like this, and more stories are going to be coming to you. And without further ado, here's Gunnar. All right, I'm here with Gunnar. Gunnar, introduce yourself to the community.
Hey, I'm Gunnar Boettcher. I'm an MAT specialist in Mankato, Minnesota. So it's a probably about 70,000 population town, kind of southern Minnesota. We're about hour and a half from the Twin Cities. I have a facility where we offer personal training, MAT, of course, and then we have a full 24/7 gym membership community.
So what to talk a little bit about like the population you work with. Who do you primarily work with over there? Because I know you have kind of a little bit of a specific population that kind of passes through there.
Yeah, I think kind of like a lot of us MATs, it's the question is like, yeah, who do we work with? Well, people with muscles, which is all of us. We all have muscles, and we all have things that can be worked on. I would say I've kind of carved out my niche within um, one half is athletes, and then the other half tends to be, I would say, people more so in their 40s and 50s. I, of course, see all age ranges, but that tends to be about kind of my split is either middle school, high school, college, even professional athletes, and then kind of that 40 to 50 demographic of people that are just, they've been going through life. They got aches and pains, injuries, maybe surgeries, and we're just trying to get them back healthy and strong again.
Cool. No, it's perfect. So let's talk about the reason that we're here listening. Tell us some of your stories. Like, what are some of your best successes that you'd like to share with people watching?
Yeah. So maybe it'd help if I kind of gave. Um, I actually started off personal training, and so probably would lead me into like my story of how I got into MAT. But I was a personal trainer, so I got my degree in exercise physiology. I went straight into personal training. I was going to go into physical therapy, which is kind of funny. That was my plan for high school and college, was to go into physical therapy. And long story short, I realized how much I loved kind of the preventative side of health, so like fitness, muscle building, strength training, and anyway, so I was like, I would rather try to help people in the populations as much as I can to prevent needing to go to physical therapy or any sort of like rehab specialist in the first place. And so got into personal training, loved it. I mean, I still love it. I still do it. Um, but I started to get to kind of some points within clients where I'm training heavily, like 12-hour days every day. And I started to get some clients where it's just deeper kind of neurological dysfunctions, like deeper things going on that could not be corrected within a personal training session. And at that point, I wasn't qualified either to be handling some of these cases. And so when I'd refer out, um, they they would come back. I would refer out, and they would come back. It wasn't being, things were being fixed fast enough, or there wasn't clarity in the plans, that when I'd send somebody with something going on, so just there was things happening that I was like, this just isn't adding up, and I'm sending to all these different specialists, and and again, nothing against other modalities, it didn't have the place for what was needed for that person. Um, and so anyway, then I was having my own kind of things, and anyway, found MAT. But I mean, I can talk about that more later. But yeah, so
Any client stories you want to share? Anything that's in your brain?
yeah, I have actually had somebody recently, the past few months, uh, they had a stroke, um, and I've actually had a few stroke clients, and and at some point there's only so much that can be done. with paralysis and whatnot that they may experience. But this person that I worked with, they had a stroke. They had limited motion in their throughout their whole body, but especially their leg, their arm, and within one session, they already felt better. Um, Within a few sessions, they were walking more. They were able to sleep more. So this person, they couldn't sleep for more than maybe like a half an hour at a time, and they were doing this for a few years. They could barely walk right. They couldn't stand for certain amounts of time. Even kind of the dexterity and function within their hands was limited. Um, a lot of things. I mean, long story short, a lot of things, and started treating them with MAT, um, and it was some of the greatest results that they had seen from anybody and have done anything. Um, I would say that's probably the most incredible story I've had, and this was just a few months ago.
It doesn't always have like be incredible. I think the cool thing about us in the MAT world is that we work with you like you said like 40s and 50s and above, and it's like that's a population super rewarding because we give them tools for success, and just a simple thing of just getting up without discomfort is a great thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many sessions? Let me ask you, how many sessions did it take for you with this person, or are you still working with them, or what's kind of going on?
Yeah. So within the first session, I mean, this person knew they had been going through modality, so at that point they knew their body, they knew what worked, what didn't work. um, Within one session, they felt such a difference that they knew that they needed to do this for a while. um, but I will say, because it's, for me, it was at the I'm not certified within the RX levels, but for me it was at the highest level of dysfunction that I typically see, the highest level of like neurological dysfunction I typically see. I mean, um, so we were doing MAT 3 to 4 times a week, which I actually would say there's points and times where we were having to monitor and assess their, because they're a construction worker too. They owned a construction business, and we're having to monitor um, kind of their lifestyle stress factors. So like if they couldn't recover and do all these outside things in full holistic perspective, then they couldn't be recovered enough to handle the MAT because it was very neurologically draining. I mean, it's fatiguing. It's like a workout. Um, so yeah, I mean, anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. But within a single month of that, they went from not being able to walk for more than like 2 minutes to, he went and watched his wife compete in a marathon. And this was within 1 month. He was dreading, like he couldn't walk, he could barely sit for even periods of time. And within 1 month, he was able to just get out of his car, go walk a few blocks, and be able to stand there and watch his wife, run past the finish line, with his kids. And he got to stand there, he got to watch the whole thing. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty freaking incredible, for just a single month's time.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing when you could take somebody from that level of dysfunction and have them do like the simplest things in life that they really want to do, and that's a reward, that's a gift, that's something that we can all kind of be thankful for. Let me
Yeah,
ask you this. I know you also work with hockey players.
yeah.
uh, are there any hockey based stories that have come to you, like any hockey guys or girls that have come and you've kind of had some success with as well?
Yeah. So I actually got to work with probably 5 different teams of NHL players, kind of ranging around the country. Um, some of them I can name, some of them I'm not allowed to name, but
Don't you don't have to use names. You can just
yeah,
use descriptors, anything you want, but we don't need
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So what we found with, with hockey is, of course, they're in this trunk flexed, hip flex, not trunk flex. Well, yeah, trunk flex, but hip flex position where they're always striding. And so there's nothing inherently wrong with that position, of course, but that continual overuse of that repetitive stride. Typically, with somebody, you'd say, okay, well, if that's starting to cause hip issues, knee issues, back issues, well, if the root cause, if you know what the root cause is that's causing it, then you'd say, as a practitioner, well, maybe we shouldn't do this. Um, but when it's their whole career and their profession, then it's entirely different. So then something with MAT, um, I mean, all these guys, they have the best strength coaches in the country, maybe arguably the world. I mean, they are the best. And so, there's what can be done with the strength training, but then this other component of a modality that gets the muscles reactivated to refunction at 100% again. As far as hockey players, if you can recover faster, if you can manage the already repetitive stress and overuse of those same striding motions, that's not only going to help your playing more long term, reduce your injury. Well, now it's still helping with your strength training because now you're still achieving your full range of motion, full function of muscles, and then they can still train and hit it hard. So we're able to keep their training way up on the intensity without things shutting down as they're doing hockey, um, but then also just getting them feeling better, like a lot better. So
No, that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you because I know you work with hockey players, and we don't have a ton of people. We have a good amount of people in the community that work with athletes. We don't have a ton of people that work with hockey players just based on the nature of maybe their location or their own, connections. And so I know you're one of those people that does work with a lot of different hockey players, and I know that community always needs help because of the repetitive nature of the sport. So it's great to hear. All right,
yeah,
I got one last question I'm going to ask you. Going to
yeah,
surprise you a little bit with this one because I did not prep you for this one, but I want you this to come off the cuff.
yeah.
I asked this of everybody who has appeared on one of these before, and so for a new student that's starting MAT, brand new, what's a piece of advice that you'd like to give to them that you either you wish you had or that you'd like to pass on from your experience to a new person starting?
Huh. That's a great question. Uh yeah, when I started MAT, I was like I said, I was personal training, and at the time, the only way to get the education was to travel to educational hubs. And so for me, the only one that was the closest was from Minnesota to Chicago. So I'd personal train, I'd bust my butt, and then immediately hop in my car and I'd go drive 6 or 7 hours, go do the education, come back, study it. And I did that for a full year. Every single month, I drive to Chicago, did it for a full year. And and it was very overwhelming, the amount of information. Um, so as a new student, we've all been there, we all get it. One thing would, of course, be to things like this, like listening to practitioners talk about, like, we made it through, it's going to be okay. And also, if you have any practitioners close by, talking to them about it, so you can kind of feel like it is possible, even though the amount of information can seem, very overwhelming. Um, it is and it isn't. So I would say being patient with it. I mean, I know that's cliche to say, but like I'm still learning stuff. I'm still going back into like I'm sitting at my desk here and I have all of my manuals still sitting here. I'm still going over them. I think when I started, because I heard of Jumpstart and Specialist and Master Specialist and RX, it was like I had to have all of that at once. It was like I just started MAT and I feel like I have to already be at RX level. And now as the years have went by, um, I'm like, you know what? I have time. I don't need to if I want to, or if my clients need it, if I feel like my demographic needs it, then of course then I need to keep pushing towards that. But I think seeing how impactful and how much it still helps and change people's lives with where I'm at with my MET skill set. Like your clients, ultimately they don't care what the title is. They just want you to help them, and if you can help them, um, no matter what level you're at, I mean that's an empowering fulfilling personally and professionally, feeling that you're making an impact on them. So it's the start of the journey. Be patient with it. Be grateful for what you're able to help people with, and it's just a time thing. It's just building upon what you're learning, and it'll never end. So know that at the end of the day, the point of this is that you're helping people, not
Yeah.
just trying to achieve some sort of educational level or amount.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a kind of a lot of really good points there, which is, you and I kind of share that in common is that we both started out in the fitness industry. We both ended up having to travel to different places to get our education. You having to travel to Chicago. I had to travel to Dallas, Texas from San Francisco.
Hmm.
So
That's right.
we all have our like experiences of that education process. And now the education process is just so much simpler, is that people don't need to make those journeys and destinations. But the part of the experience that does not change is the one where patience and putting yourself, first and doing all of those things so that you're not stressing yourself out are so incredibly important, and not feeling like you have to reach some goal or destination. And those
Yeah,
points you hit are so key.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the way that the education is set up now, oh my gosh, it like even for me, I feel more connected with the community because it takes all these people and it just goes woof, and it brings it in where we're just like we're right there at each other's like fingertips. Um, and same with the information. I mean, the information is right there. We can just rapidly learn, um, on the video courses and whatnot. So yeah, it's been pretty incredible, even just within the last few years with the education.
Yeah, man. All right. So all the time we have for today. My name's Ilya. This is Gunnar. All right,
Yep.
Gunnar, tell us again your business name and if they want to find you on socials.
Yep. So my business name is Gunstorm. So my middle name is Storm. So Gunner Storm. So Gunstorm Muscle Health. You can find us on Facebook at Gunstorm Muscle Health and Instagram at Gunstorm Muscle Health. And we got our website, same thing. Um, we're not doing TikTok yet. We're
Not
still
yet.
we're still working on that. That's the young people's social media. So
You
yeah,
gotta,
that's where
you
you can
gotta,
find us. We do our best to put out some content. So yeah,
what are you talking about young people's media? That's
I
in
know.
it's in your world, dude, bud.
I know it is, but I feel like I live under a rock. I feel older for my age, but
Fair enough.
yeah, we're working on it.
Well, when they're the TikTok is set up, you guys will find him on TikTok as well. All right. That's the
Yeah.
time we have for today. We'll be back soon with another episode of MAT Stories. And hope to see you guys again soon. Peace out.